Ukraine.
Now, bogus, silly, rubbish, idiotic. All words used today by Bill Barr, the former Attorney General for Donald Trump, to describe his boss's claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him. The Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the US Capitol held a second public hearing today, in which Trump campaign advisers and staff testified they repeatedly told the former president there was no evidence to support his claim of voter fraud. Joining us now is the BBC's Nomia Iqbal. So, Nomia, we had this whole parade of Trump advisers, legal advisers, all saying the same thing, that the president's wild claims of voter fraud just weren't true. So what is the committee trying to underline exactly?
It's really fascinating, wasn't it? Because if you think about some of these characters back at the time when we were covering the election, they're the same people that are actually standing by him and supporting him. But now the committee's trying to show that Donald Trump was told on election night and onwards that he didn't have the votes, that he shouldn't declare victory or anything like that, but he still went ahead and did it anyway. So you had as you mentioned there, William Barr, the former Attorney General, who's saying that he was actually demoralised by the talk of election fraud, of which he said that it was nonsense and it was one of the reasons why he resigned. You also had Bill Stepien, the former campaign manager, who was supposed to be giving live testimony, but due to family emergency, he didn't. And he said in pre-recorded video evidence that he was happy to be on team normal. That's how he described it, which gives you a sense of this sort of division that existed in the Trump camp of those who were telling Trump what he wanted to hear and those that were saying otherwise. You also had Jason Miller, a former attorney, saying that Trump just started listening to the advice of Rudy Giuliani, who he described as definitely inebriated. And Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, also gave evidence in which he said he told Mr. Trump not to take the advice of Rudy Giuliani.
And the committee's trying to make the case that all of this inspired Mr. Trump's supporters on January the 6th, and there's a direct link. Now, the US Attorney General said today, the current one, that he's watching the Jan 6 committee. Did the committee point towards a potential new crime that they claim may have been committed?
Well, this was really interesting because they have already floated some potential laws that were broken by Donald Trump, including obstruction of an official proceeding. But they raised this new one, fundraising fraud. So basically, the commission is saying that he raised about $250 million after the election, which went towards something called the Official Election Defense Fund. But they're now saying that two of Donald Trump's aides said that money didn't go anywhere towards challenging the election results. But it is worth pointing out that the committee, obviously, they can't prosecute. All they can do is present the evidence to the Department of Justice, and it's them who have the authority to look into it.
In other news here in Washington today, Nomia, the White House said that President Biden would like to sign gun control legislation as soon as possible in the wake of these hideous mass shootings in the US recently. Are we about to see the first major federal gun control legislation in almost 30 years?
Looks like it. So over the weekend, you had this bipartisan group of senators, 10 Republicans, 10 Democrats, who came up with this sort of common ground bill. So it's things such as, enhanced background checks, also improving school safety and mental health. It does fall short of what the Democrats wanted, but as you say, it is pretty significant that they have found common ground on this. So President Biden has said that he wants to look at the bill and he's called it a step in the right direction.
We'll see whether it can survive the lobbying by the gun lobby. Nomia, thanks so much for joining us.